All right. I think we're recording and ready to go. So thanks everybody for taking a little time out of your evening to come to this Zoom meeting for cross country. We're really excited. This is one of my favorite extracurricular things to do. Like I said earlier, if you're just dropping in, I'm Kent Hildebrands. I have been a track and cross country coach for about 12 years or so now, I guess. And for those of you who don't know me, I taught at Anthony Middle School for about 4 years. I teach up at the high school now, but I've been fortunate enough to be able to still have the opportunity to coach down at the middle school level, which I love. One for the kids and the other because the seasons are so short. So it's pretty great. And so I do cross country and then I do track in the spring. And then I'll let the other coaches introduce themselves here as well. Coach Gabar, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm Caleb Gabar. I'm a math teacher at Anthony. I teach on the Silver 7 math team. I've been coaching various sports for the last 10 years or so. This is my second year with cross country. I've done cross country other places as well, and track as well. But yeah, excited to get the season started and ready to get rolling.
Coach Kopis.
All right. I'm Sherry Kopis, and I teach at Anthony. Also, I am the 8th grade social studies on the Silver team. And I have been club sponsors before, but I have never coached cross country. However, my children have been involved in cross country for about 12 years now. So I have been on the scene and experienced it. And my son still works with it at the college level. So a lot of experience. Can't wait to help coach it. And I'll be learning some of the running tips along with the kids as well.
I'm pretty sure you've probably been to more cross country meets than I have over.
Yeah, I'm 12 years of cross country, middle school and high school. So
without further ado, I will go ahead and share my screen and we'll look at the handouts, which you can, like I said, I hope that's posted on the school website or maybe, I don't think it's actually posted. I think maybe it was in an email that was sent out. And if not, I think I'll show you where it's also posted on the website. I'll do that, I guess, first here. And then you can follow along with me if you would like. As we go through this, Coach Gabar and Coach Kopis will be there to field questions in the chat. So I probably won't see that, but do feel free, as you think of something, just type it in the chat there. It'll probably be good for other people to see it too. And they can answer that. And then if you do have, and they can just, like, if it's something that they think would be good for me to talk about, they can go ahead and interrupt me at any time too, and we'll address it. But so this is our parent handout here, and it is a Google Doc. So I think at one point, Melissa Triana, our athletic secretary, does a fantastic job, and a lot of you will, if you haven't met her yet, you will, and you'll interact with her through the year. But I think she put this up as a PDF, and it's a Google Doc that I have edited as recently as about 7:30 tonight. So that link though will be on the website, so you can see the most recent version if you want to. Our website, where all this stuff is at, if you just Google like AMS cross country 383, I think it's the first thing that comes up in the search results. But I noticed today we're the only fall sport in Anthony that has a website. We might be the only sport overall that does. So I'm not sure why I'm putting that much effort and work into a website, but we have one and it's nice. So go out there and use it, I guess. But we will put announcements on here pretty regularly. You'll see a little bit further down, we'll talk about communication. We have a remind set up for more instantaneous communication. I will use our Facebook group page, which a lot of you are already a part of. to communicate as well, but that is not like a good, cross communication with coaches. I prefer you use email or the reminder, whatever, to do that. But our website, if you can access it, we have our homepage here, coaching staff. Announcements page is probably your go-to. That's where a lot of things are. If you keep scrolling down here, there's a few things that are probably left over from years past. We do have a Facebook and Instagram page. Not a whole lot going on the Instagram, but Facebook is pretty cool. We add pictures to that through the year, and if I put something in announcements, I also try to put it in Facebook a lot. Those of you who are already members have seen that we did some fun runs this summer just to get some kids together on an optional basis. So if you are hearing about that for the first time, don't worry about it. Not a big deal, but that was kind of fun to get a few of us out there and do some running. And then there's info on meets, miscellaneous stuff here. If you see anything that looks a little weird or off, it's probably because it's old and really outdated and I just haven't caught it to change it. So this has been up since the days of Coach Eckleberry. So some of this stuff is probably from then, including these pictures, our 2017 team. So probably should update those as well. The tab that is good for a lot of people that are new to, we got a few more. Coach Kabar, are you able to admit people now that you're co-host?
Yes, I just put a couple people in.
Awesome. There's a tab under here called ABCs of cross country, and it's got, I'm not going to read through all of that because I think I'll cover a lot of it in our handout here. But if you are new to the sport, this has some good things in it. There is a link to register my athlete. So if you're not familiar with that, and hopefully a lot of you have at least heard that or seen that in communications from the school, but that is where all of the paperwork, the physicals, all that stuff is being done digitally this year through Register My Athlete. And I was prepared to kind of walk you through a little bit of that, but my account, I guess, is no longer there. And so I had to recreate one, and it says my access is pending. So I can't see it right now. But there is on the school website, there's a little PDF to kind of walk you through how to do that, how to register your child for all that stuff and fill out the proper forms and everything. So they do have to have a physical, and I don't know if they have to have everything on there complete before they can start practicing, but I think they have to have most of that complete. And then the thing that you could do now is this little link here to the 2021 parent info form. This is a Google survey that I created just to get some demographic info and everything. So a few of you have done this already, but get emails for parents and guardians. And as of earlier today, we only had boys so far on this. So hopefully we have a couple of girls teams this year. I think we will. And then just check in on where we're at on Register My Athlete and that sort of stuff. So you can fill this out right now while you're listening to me if you want to. And that'll help us out. There is a question on there about helping with the home meets. We actually have 2 home meets this year, but one is hosted by the high school, so we don't really have to do anything with that. And the other one is later in September. And we do sometimes need people to maybe help out at the finish line or watch corners. And last year, that was a great way for people to actually get admitted to the meet to watch people run. I don't foresee us having any problems where they're not letting spectators in this year. But if you are able and willing to help out with that, you can kind of sign up right there. And myself or Mr. Kelly will reach out to you when we get to that point of the year. So that's that form. Other stuff here on the website, on the ABCs part. And I'm going to talk about a lot of this on the handout, but tips about what to bring to practice, frequently asked questions, how far we run, that sort of thing, which I will talk in more detail about in a second, but that's always there for you to refer to. Team rules and policies, same deal. That's kind of in the handout, but I feel like this page actually goes into more depth on a lot of that. Other stuff on this website for you to be aware of. You have the announcements tab. So this is probably the one I'll edit most. And right now you got the link to Register My Athlete, link to the survey, the handout that I'm going to go through. You can click on that link and it'll take you to the most recently updated version of that Google Doc. And I should say, I think that's a concussion video that your kids have to watch. We don't have to do impact testing for cross country though, so that's kind of nice. Our schedule still says 2020 up here, but I think I updated that. I did, but it doesn't show up on that part. So you can check out our meet schedule, what it looks like. I have that pulled up here on the side. But our first meet, which myself and Coach Gabar are super excited about, is Saturday, September 4th, my wife's birthday. And it is the Manhattan Invitational. So this is actually hosted by the high school, and this will be our most populated meet of the year. It feels big time because there's all these high school kids showing up while the middle school was run, and we run 7:30 in the morning with I think we just run a mile. Coach Gabar, does that sound right? Oh, we didn't do it last year. We didn't have this meet last year.
Yes, I actually talked to Mr. Kelly yesterday, and he said it's just a mile.
I know in the past we've only done a mile at this meet, and we're getting to where most of the rest of the meets will all be 2 miles, but I think that one sounds like will still be a mile. So it goes pretty fast. So you will definitely have time to get back home to watch the K-State game on TV, but probably not attend in person on Saturday, September 4th. And then you see the rest of our schedule. It is a short season. It goes by quickly. So the next week is pretty busy for us. We got Wamego Tuesday, Fort Riley on Thursday. The Fort Riley one's kind of cool because we get to run out at Milford State Park, and out there, if you've ever been out there, the high school runs and meets out there. It's pretty hilly. It's really cool. It's right up next to the lake, and that is also where we run league. So it's a really good experience for our kids to get to run that course twice. They can kind of see how much they improved. They know what they're going to do before we go to league. So that's a big strong point for us. And we got Clay Center. You'll notice there we have more than a week without a meet there after our home meet and before Rock Creek and League. So that week, there's a chance we wouldn't have practice that Friday. I don't know what that would be, like the 24th or whatever. I think there's the 24th or 25th maybe is a day where we don't have school. And we will probably have at least a chance at some point, hopefully, to do a time trial of some sort. And I'll talk more on what I mean by that in a second, but that's our schedule. And you can see results, other things. You can peruse the website on your own time. I'm going to go back to the handout that is linked on there. So talked about the website. Facebook group, you can request that the link will take you there, and you can request to join through that. And I will most likely admit you. There's an Instagram account there. The Remind, you can sign up for that right now. Coach Gabar handles the Remind for us. And
can I interrupt there for just a second? I've been having some questions about Remind. So I've not set up a new Remind for this year. I see some people are just joining last year's group right now, and I've had some people comment and say that it's not active this year. So I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, I just had looks like 3 people just signed up, so I may be able to use the same Remind group from last year and just kind of change the name, because right now it says 2020-21 school year. So I think we'll probably be able to use that same one, and I'll get the name changed. If not, I'll have to start a new group. So I guess more info to come on that yet.
Okay. Yeah, we can send that out to people if we need to. So we will practice on Monday of this upcoming week. So Monday is the first day that K-Shaw lets us practice. And Monday and Tuesday, we're going to go in the morning. Hopefully I think the temperatures for next week look a lot better than this week anyway, which is always kind of a concern for us this time of year with cross country and everything. But we'll go 7 a.m. So bright and early, and it will be a quick practice both those days. So we'll get people there. We'll kind of run through our routine of our warm up and our stretching and our dynamics and stuff. And then we'll run a little bit, probably, a mile or so both days. And that'll be it. And we'll stretch some and get them out of there, because the coaches all have professional development and stuff throughout the day on Monday and Tuesday. So it'll be kind of a way to slowly acclimate a little bit for kiddos and get the practice routine in without having to worry about all the rest of school and that sort of thing at that point, but also get them out of bed. So 7 a.m. we'd like them there, maybe just a little bit before that if you could, and drop them off in the back of the Anthony Middle School parking lot by the tennis courts. And that's where we'll meet and stretch. Be nice this year that we don't have to do temperature checks, but we will, take roll and get all that logistics stuff done as quickly as possible so we can get at least kind of a decent practice in. No practice that Wednesday, August 18th. So that's the first day of regular school. And then teachers are on duty through the afternoon, I believe. So we just weren't going to mess with it. It'll probably be relatively hot that day anyway. And that'll give us a chance to start Thursday off just with our regular routine of like school. I think is out at 2:56, Anthony. And we will pretty much plan on students being ready to go by 3:10. So that hopefully will give them time to take their stuff. We'll let them know where. We need to talk more about that as a staff, but they'll have a chance to change if they need to and drop their stuff off in a room that we can lock up. And then they can come out to practice. And we'll just meet every day out there by those tennis courts. And we'll do our dynamic warm up and everything. And then I'd say 4:20-ish. It might be a little closer to 4:30 most days this year since we'll be starting just a little bit later. But cross country is nice in that, there's not a whole lot to be gained by having like a 2-hour practice. Once we've ran 2 or 3 miles and done our workout and stuff for the day, we can pretty much be done. So we get to in practice a little bit earlier and make the football players watch us as we leave, which is kind of fun. So we would like parents to arrive by 4:20 or so. You're not going to be in too much hurt if you're there by 4:30. And some days we will probably be pushing that 4:30 or a little bit later if we do an off-campus run. But we'll try to wrap up right around then each day. So the COVID stuff is a lot easier to deal with as far as we know this year. I'll talk some about that here as we get into equipment and everything. But every day for practice, your student needs a water bottle. It'd be really great if they have some sort of, whatever, stickers, names, et cetera, to identify that and keep it separate from everybody else's. I would even recommend first day of school, they take like 2 water bottles and just leave one in their locker as a backup for when they forget their other one or lose it or whatever. So they have that because that's really important. We'll have them. We'll see with practice what we want to do with masks. As soon as they come outside, they could probably just leave them like with their water bottle or something, because we do not have to have masks on outdoors during practice as far as we know. Of course, if a student was more comfortable with that, that would be fine. I really recommend towels this year for them. Whether we stretch in the grass or on the tennis courts, it'd be nice to have a towel. Tennis court could be really hot. Grass could be pretty itchy. So it's pretty nice to have a towel to sit on or whatever while we do our stretching and some of our core stability stuff. So those are 3 big things. And then just, good clothes to work out in, good shoes. I did see the other day that Manhattan Running Company is offering a 15% discount to students through the month. So I like them. They're local. They will spend the time to get you in the right shoe and have a pretty good return policy if for some reason they don't work out. So I like to give them a plug, but obviously you can find shoes a lot of places. But I would recommend, find out if your runner pronates, what kind of foot strike they have, that sort of thing. So you can find a shoe that really works well for them. I know and it's a little different running as like a 30-something-year-old than like a 14-year-old, but if I don't have the right kind of stability shoes, for me, it really messes me up. So we talked about backpacks and that sort of thing already. We'll do our dynamic warm-up at the starter practice, high knees and karaoke and that sort of thing, active movements to get muscles warmed up and ready to go. And then, some days will be more distance, running longer pace at slower speed. Some days will be more tempo training. We like to do like a Sam Hill workout where we go to the north side of the school building and run up the hill And that hill was spared by the construction. So that made me happy. We still have that hill to run on. Sometimes we might do off-campus runs, take off and go down the road towards, lots of times we'll run up towards Bergman and Hudson Trail. So kids really enjoy kind of change in scenery, change of pace, doing some of that. We had to cut some of our funner activities and practices, more fun activities and practices last year due to COVID, but hopefully some of those we can bring back. Like in the past, we've done a slushy run where we run down to Dara's and then eat a slushy on the way back, that sort of stuff. So always our focus is to get better, push yourself, be a little bit stronger today than you were yesterday, that sort of thing. But we do want to break up the monotony of just running with ways to have some fun, some team building things. Weather, unless we have lightning or extreme rain, we'll pretty much run outside. So if it's, a drizzle or whatever, anything that we would have a meet in, we will run in. If we are forced to go inside, this is something Coach Gabar and I were talking about before we started. There is a running track at the rec center now, which we may utilize. So we have a little more flexibility if we have weather. But if it's pretty bad out and we're going to have to not have practice and we run into some issues, there is a chance we may cancel practice. So we'll try to announce that as quickly as possible. But I would say the vast majority of the time we'll be able to get some form of a workout in. Absences. So if you know in advance that your athlete's going to miss practice, Coach Gabar is our associate head coach. And since I'm at the high school, he's kind of our point person for stuff that happens in the building. It's nice to have both him and Coach Kopis there in the building for things that might transpire during the day. So there's his email. My email's on there. I don't think Coach Koppis's email is on there, and she probably is appreciative of that, but we'll get that on there too at some point. So let us know, let the school know that they're going to be gone for practice and for why. And I think that may not be in the handout, but if we have more than 2 excused practice or unexcused practices, kid just doesn't show up, then that becomes grounds for dismissal from the team. And that's in that ABCs of cross country on the website. You can see kind of the attendance policy there. I don't think we've really had any issues with that in the past several years, but just, communicate with us, you and your athlete, let us know what's going on and why you maybe couldn't be at a practice or a meet. Meet info, we'll get, as soon as I get that from Mr. Kelly, I usually link that up on the website under the announcements tabs. And I'll also put that out on Facebook and stuff, but they'll always send out meet info with a schedule and sometimes a course map. So if you're a new parent to cross country, meets are pretty fun. It's a pretty fun experience because you as a spectator have a pretty active role in that, because we'll be running through, I don't think we really have any meets at golf courses anymore. Most of them are at schools or, the one at Milford. I guess we can go out to Warner Park for our home meets, but they're kind of all over. So there's a lot of terrain there, and you'll have to, if you want to see your child run by more than a couple of times, you'll probably have to move around and find good spots to watch them. So the typical format for the meets is 7th grade girls, 7th grade boys, 8th grade girls, and 8th grade guys, usually about 30 minutes per race. So if you have an 8th grader, and the meet says it's going to start at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. or whatever, just keep in mind that your son or daughter is probably not running until at least an hour after that. Sometimes they will run groups together. So we'll try to communicate that as quick as possible. But, if you can be, it's probably a good practice to be there earlier than start time, just in case. That you typically don't start races earlier than they're scheduled for that purpose. Coach, is anything you want to add on meets? Well, I guess like we'll show up early. We'll have dismissal from school, load the bus. We will be wearing masks on the bus, as well as anytime we're indoors. But once we're at the meet and outside, that won't be required. We will set up a campsite, and we usually walk the course first if we have time, so students kind of have an idea of where to go, and we'll do some team stretching, let everybody run to the porta potty, that sort of thing. One thing that is helpful, I think we can kind of cover this as a staff, but I know parents have helped out in the past. Usually they give us, especially at this first meet when none of the kids have done it before, they give us all of these timing chips that have to be tied onto your shoes with zip ties. So that is sometimes helpful to have a couple other extra hands helping people put those things on, because they are kind of tricky. So that is kind of the routine at the start of the meet. At the end of the meet, I'll always have a sign out sheet there if you want to take your son or daughter home. There's also, this was kind of new for last year, but parents were given permission to bring their athlete to the meet and then take them back in that form. They're going to allow you to do that again if you would rather take them to the meet yourself as opposed to having them on the bus, which makes it kind of, I mean, really, you know, if the bus is less crowded and you're going to the meet anyway, I have no problem with that. As a coach, makes it kind of nice. That form, Mr. Kelly sent that out to me the other day. I haven't put it anywhere on the website yet, but I will. And that's just a form. You only have to fill it out once. And then, yeah, any meet you can take your child there to compete, and just make sure that we know that so we don't have them on the bus list. Lettering. Our letter policy is pretty simple. So we have, how many meets do we have? 7. So if you run in at least 4 of those meets, you get a letter. And then, you know, like we'll have circumstances. We had one of our top eighth grade girls last year missed quite a few of our meets in the middle of the season with injury, but obviously, you know, she competed such that she was deserving of a letter. So we can award provisional letters at our discretion, but that's one easy way to do it. And really, all athletes get to run in both of our home meets. We have unlimited entry. So if they're able to, you know, even if it's really slow, if they're able to run that distance without stopping and walking for half of it, we're going to take them and let them try it. So they'll get to compete in 2 meets. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. My expectation is that we don't do cuts. So anybody that's coming out and competes will be able to do at least those 2 meets. But once we get to some of the other meets through the season, there is a cutoff. We have to, you know, like some of them are your top 10 runners per grade in gender. Some of them are like top 15 or so. And then we'll probably have some bus constraints anyway. So depending on the size of the team, there will be a group of what we call our developmental runners that won't go to some of those road meets. And it is a great experience, I think, for them, in that they still get to be on the team. They do get to compete at least twice. And those 2 home meets are spaced out enough that they can see some progression. You know, you have that meet right at the start of the year, and then they know, hey, September 17th, I get to again. And if I do well enough at that meet, I bump myself back up. Well, and we'll try, like, it's hard early in the season to give kids a chance, or to, you know, say you're the 11th runner trying to make that top 10, and your time wasn't good enough early in the season to do it. It's hard for us to find a good time in the first week or 2 of the season to do time trials. But after that, we can do a little trial and give some kids a chance to maybe bump themselves back up into that traveling group, or, you know, kind of what we call our varsity runners. So that's lettering and how we determine who's going to the meet. And it's really nice that first meet is unlimited, because we'll have a couple of time trial runs before that, and we'll have times that kids will have that are unofficial, so we can kind of rank them and everything. But since we can take everybody to that first meet, it really is beneficial in finding out, you know, here's a chance. You just get a run for your spot, basically. So I've talked a little bit about what precautions we're facing with COVID. Mask indoors, mask on the bus. We'll be doing a seating chart on the bus and staying in the same places if we need to do any contact tracing. There was just recently an email sent out with return to play stuff. Mr. Kelly passed that along, and I don't have that updated on here yet. I'm going to see if it's on the school website though. Yes. So if you on the school website, if you go to our activities part, you can see what our COVID guidelines are for athletes and activities. I have that open up here. You know, a lot of this is all things that we've heard: social distancing, that sort of thing. and we will be doing temperature checks before we leave on the bus. So we don't have to do it before practice, but we will do that before leaving on the bus to go to competition. And as things may change and the situation is dynamic, some of the stuff might change at any time too. If an athlete did test positive or there was contract rate, here's the return to play form. So hope we won't have to deal with this a lot. Last year things went really well. We didn't really have, I don't know, Coach Gabar, do you remember, did we have maybe one or two? We really didn't have too much trouble with anybody having to miss meets and things. So I'm really hoping that's the case again. But that is there on the school website. And then there's also, you can read Mr. Kelly's little welcome to AMS fall sports on there on your own time. And there is, like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't done the register my athlete stuff, it is on here. There's a link to the website there to begin, get all your physical paperwork and all that taken care of. And then there's instructions for how to go through it. And concussion awareness video is there too. Oh, here is, this is the transport form I was talking about. So it's here I'll post on the team website too, but that's the one that if you want to take your child to the event yourself, that's what you would need to fill out and return to the office. So that's the handout. That's the website. I want to go back here and look. I talked a little bit about making cuts and that sort of thing, which I don't think we'll have to do, determining we have to determine who our top 10 or 15 runners are, depending on the meet to take them. And a lot of that is, it's kind of interesting. Like last year, the 7th grade girls, pretty much everybody got to go to every meet because we didn't have huge numbers in the 7th grade girls. But some of our, I think like 7th grade guys, we had quite a few. And so there were several more that were in that developmental group. On this ABCs of cross country page, it covers the what's excused for practice, what is considered unexcused, or what's a tardy to practice. These are things that we'll talk through with the athletes when practice starts. This is kind of an important thing too. You show up after we start and we do an off-campus run and nobody's around, don't take off and try to catch up with us. Wait there for us to come back. Same thing on absences, practice or meets. I know we got a lot of soccer players, and that's always been something where we've been pretty flexible with that. I think soccer and cross country really go well hand in hand. We would like, at least for the month of September, to make cross country as much as a priority as possible. I know like people have practices during the week, and I don't think we've run into a whole lot of conflict where we had meets running up against soccer matches, but that's happened a couple of times. So that's just something to be aware of and communicate with us about. I talked about who travels to meets, and I don't think we'll have tryouts. We'll get the uniforms checked out to everybody because everybody will be running in at least a few meets. So they'll have their hoodie and jersey and shorts and everything that they're responsible for. And we didn't have too much, I don't know, Coach Gabar, I think stuff worked out pretty well with that. We'll see if, I can't remember too many hoodies getting lost, but do they have, I think they have numbers on them, and or they have a bag with a number and everything. So that will be their responsibility to hold on to. I think that's the big stuff. 836, that's not too bad. Were there some good questions in the chat that
I just kind of wanted to reemphasize some ways that parents can get info. So obviously the AMS cross country website, you just type in AMS cross country USD 383, it'll pop up. Same thing with the Facebook, and I know Kent hit pretty hard on those two. But the Remind app is kind of something that I've been talking a little bit with some people about. I did end up, as Kent was talking now, setting up a new Remind. So if you signed up for the old one that said 2020-21, you'll have to sign up again for the new one because I don't want to message all the people from last year again. So I put that message in the chat. So if you all want to go click on that if you haven't already. Again, that's the group this year is called 2021 AMS Cross Country Group. And that's going to be a way for you to communicate directly with me. It sends notifications directly to my phone. So I will be able to respond to that very quickly. So it's it kind of shortens how much you can type, but I'll be sending announcements through there. So if you want to make sure to get that Remind app downloaded, and make sure it sends you notifications, so that you'll be alerted every time that I send something out. I don't think I blow up your phone too much, maybe 3 messages a week or so, something like that. And I see some people are signing up right now, which is awesome. That's great. We want to make sure that each and every parent is signed up for that, because that's the quickest way for us to get information to you. And like I said, a lot of times that's if you need to communicate one-on-one for a personal issue with your child, something like that. Or I'll send out announcements, or maybe a last minute change happens and, a meet got canceled last second, or it got pushed back to a next day, or a time change for a practice or something like that. I'll typically send that out through the Remind app. So it's really important that you get signed up to that group. And if you have any questions, just email me or Coach Hildebrand or Coach Koppas, and we can help you out with getting signed up with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Here's what the Facebook group page looks like, and it's kind of fun once meets start. Parents will put pictures up here and that sort of thing. So that is one little liability thing there. If you have an athlete that doesn't have a what's the word for it? I don't know, a photo permission for school stuff. Maybe make us aware of that so we don't inadvertently put them out here in pictures on the Facebook group thing. A couple things that I thought of while Coach was talking. I talked about pickup after practice, but same thing after meets. We'll have students, and Coach will send it out over the Remind too, just letting you know, hey, we're 10 minutes out of town, that sort of thing. I love a lot of coaching middle school athletes and everything that entails. The only thing I really don't love a lot is waiting in the parking lot for parents to come pick them up after meets really late. So and I know sometimes that's unavoidable, but just please be respectful of our time too, and our families that we have back home, and please try to be there soon to get your kids after meets. And cross country parents are great at that. More of a problem with other sports, but we've always had awesome parent support for pretty much everything across the board. What was the, oh, sorry, I had it here. We may do t-shirts. So we haven't gotten new cross country shirts in a couple years that were available for purchase, but I think we're going to try to do that this year. It'd be, totally optional. This is one that we did a few years back. This is actually the last one we had, I think. So that'll be something if you would like to get one purchase, we'll probably try to have that figured out pretty soon, right, Coach Koppas? Maybe in a week or so. So keep an eye out for that. And I think if you don't have any questions, you are welcome to log off, and we'll see everybody Monday for our first practice at 7 a.m. If you do have questions and want to stick around for a second, I'm going to stop the recording part of this and stop the screen sharing part, and you can stick around and do that. Otherwise, thanks a lot for coming out. We're thrilled to be able to work with your kids this year and run, and it is enjoyable. It's great to see them just become mentally tougher and just kind of like stronger, growing confidence. And it's been cool to see that transfer, especially if they're there, you know, you get to follow them from 7th grade to 8th grade and they stick with it for a couple of years. So pretty rewarding thing. And I know for several of them will probably be the first organized sport they've ever done. So, you know, we keep that in mind as we start the season off. We keep things, you know, not too hardcore. I mean, we want to push people to push themselves, but we also understand where our starting point is. So just want to find ways for everybody to improve across the board. With that, so I'm going to turn this screen share off and stop recording if I can figure that out.